raised about BBI. 17 of them is in the path for the BBI before we get to the referendum. Looking at some bit of crime is that the question here, did Gilgil pastor kill his wife, as the police are holding a 47-year-old man following the mysterious death of his wife, who he said had committed suicide. But now questions are abound asking as to whether was he the one who killed the wife. Moving on to health is that standoff as KEMSA loses a 70 billion Kenya shillings contract with the US, a situation that started just as a minor port clearance dispute over antiretroviral drugs between Kenya and the United States has now turned to a risky situation, putting the fight against malaria, tuberculosis and HIV at risk. And finally, almost finally, all bark and no bite. Ruto's wake-up call to his rivals. The strings of losses to the deputy president that he has suffered in the recent times has exposed his soft underbelly, as critics say. And finally, Museveni eyes 40 years in power as he just got started with his sixth term as the president of Uganda. And of course, just as mentioned by Ray earlier on, he did take a jab at the West, accusing them of imposing their air-conditioned democracy on Africa. We'll be giving you these details as we continue on with In the Headlines. Ray.
Now, let's pick up from there. What is happening across, the region there? Remember, Suluhu Hassan was in Kenya recently, and a deal was struck there to just ease trade relations between Tanzania and Kenya. And it seems that this particular pact is bearing fruit. What are we talking about? We're talking about the new border barriers. So if you have been trading across Namanga into Tanzania and back, then maybe you have noticed an ease in, the barriers that then would have made it difficult for you to trade. So the two presidents apparently agreed on non-tariff barriers at the border points that have been in the past being a headache between Kenya and Tanzania. Now, according to the East African Community Secretary General, and this is Peter Mutuku Mathuki, he says that they have received several complaints from drivers who spend time waiting to be cleared at the border points. So apparently, this is going to be a thing of the past. Why? Because the EAC Secretariat has also established a hotline to register traders' challenges. This is working at making sure that the deal that was struck on paper is actually implemented on ground. As we say here, vitu kwa ground sometimes are usually different. So here, this is just a step in that direction. And now, yesterday we witnessed what was happening in the Senate. That is the impeachment trial of Wajir governor, that is Mohamud Abdi there. And now with the committee linking the family to some of the lost monies there. We're talking about millions of shillings in misappropriation. And his family has been linked to that, his wife and children. So also the House, that is the National Assembly, today is going to vet the CJ nominee, Martha Koome. Remember, for the last 2 weeks back, we have been watching the JSC conduct these interviews, and there were some of them became household names. But now Martha Koome was the choice that the JSC committee, Lady Justice Martha Koome, was the choice made by the JSC. So in a letter dated April 28th, President Uhuru Kenyatta asked the National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi to fast-track the vetting. Remember, the law abhors a vacuum, and attached to the documents, including the original copy of the JSC report on the selection process of the CJ and Justice Koome's curriculum vitae. Now, on a lighter note, people from my community... people from my community have been bashed this weekend, or rather this week long. And just to remind you that Martha Koome comes from that community, we have people who have gone to Harvard and ourselves are here. Remember, we also told you that the school I went to was among the top, high school performers. Yeah, what will happen? The schools they attended were nowhere to be seen. Just want to remind you that Lady Justice Martha Koome for the position of the Chief Justice is going to be vetted by the National Assembly there. So we wish her all the best, and I think we need more women taking up leadership roles to change the way things are done in the country, at least where governance is concerned. Now, talking about leadership, Museveni at its 6th term in office. And some of the presidents who graced this occasion include Samia Suluhu Hassan of Tanzania, Salva Kiir of South Sudan, Saleh Work Zedwe of Ethiopia, Evariste of Burundi, as well as many other dignitaries who came in. Now, conspicuously missing was the President Paul Kagame of Rwanda. President Uhuru Kenyatta and Somalia's Mohamed Farmajo came to face amid a diplomatic row between the two countries. You know where we stand when it comes to matters of Somalia and Kenya. Other than just the issue of the maritime border dispute, we also have an issue. We brokered a deal, but now it seems that one of the governments, us or them, is not ready to honor that particular deal. We'll be keeping tabs on that as we look at the hot and cold. We are blowing hot and cold when it comes to the northern country there. So Museveni was sworn in for the 6th term. And I'd want to draw your attention, Jain, Doreen, and Victor, to the famous interview held by CNN's
Christiane Amanpour.
Yes, with none other than the late Bob, that is Robert Mugabe. And I remember this interview made headlines. Why? Because he was put to task and asked then when he will be bidding farewell to Zimbabweans, or rather stepping down, you know. And the question that Bob asked, and I'm trying to paraphrase because I don't remember the details, but it went like, where are Zimbabweans going? And why are you asking me this question and you've never asked the Queen? He was talking about his term of leadership there as the president of Zimbabwe. We miss Uncle Bob. May his soul continue resting in peace. Victor.
All right. Excuse me. And on that note, let's take a look at what's making headlines on the Star newspaper. And the governor's wife, children linked to Wajir graft probe. All right, that's the web of the Star. Governor's wife, children linked to Wajir's graft web. And that has been tackled there by my colleagues. And the governor has been accused of including his wife and children in the graft, totaling to hundreds and hundreds of millions of shillings that the MCs accused were misappropriated in that county. And so alleged to have been influencing tenders, receiving kickbacks. That story continues in the Star. And GSU COVID test ordered to after GSU boss Singoi found dead in Embakasi hostel. The GSU, it's now said that he was found dead in his hostel, and the COVID test has been ordered for any person who might have come in contact with him days before he died. He was found dead in the morning on Wednesday, and now the COVID test has been ordered for everyone who came in contact with the former GSU deputy Commandant William Singoi, who was found dead in his room. Now, the body was found on Wednesday morning in his room in Embakasi Garrison Barracks. Now, all security and health officials were wearing personal protective equipment, and the Embakasi facility was nervous about the whole process. Now, the cause of his death was not immediately known or apparent, and a postmortem will be performed. Now, to some story that will affect many, many Kenyans. And when I say many, I mean many. Kenyatta National Hospital to now stop walk-in patient services from July. Yeah, Kenyatta National Hospital, many people, mostly Nairobians or even far away from Nairobi, always go to KNH. But now, it has been revealed that Kenyatta National Hospital will, from July this year, start attending to referral cases only as it seeks to close doors to walk-in patients. Now, NMS Director General Mohamed Badi on Wednesday said that his team, together with the Ministry of Health, have reviewed the referral system. Now, this means that all level 3, 4 and 5 hospitals within Nairobi will cater for walk-in patients. Badi said that in partnership with the acting governor, that is Anne Kananu, all efforts will be made to ensure that the 24 hospitals pledged by President Uhuru Kenyatta will be fully operational. So take note that starting July, there will be no more walk-in patients at the Kenyatta National Hospital. And these are questions that I will pose to you, ladies, as we move on. And then, because we all know, KNH has served many people. How it's going to work out for the 24 hospitals in the city is just a matter of wait and see. And now, on 30th of April, CS Matiang'i announced that there will be no more romantic relationships in the forces. And should that happen, then one person would be forced to leave the force. And now NGO False Matiang'i's plan to ban romantic relationships in police force. Now, a lobby group has said that it is wrong to prevent two people in love from having intimacy on grounds that they work in the same place. Angaza Network Empowerment on Wednesday faulted Interior CS Fred Matiang'i's plan to ban relationships among police officers to curb cases of domestic violence and killings within the forces. Now, Matiang'i on April said that it is wrong. So, ukipatikana, one of you will go. And so far, a team has already been formed to come up with the rules. I don't know. We talked about this, Jain, Ray, Doreen, and now it was just a matter of time before someone came up with this, with an uproar. What do you think? I have been in some institutions before where couples are working together. In fact, they were sitting side by side, and life continued. And for
personally,
5 years. Yeah.
I am anti-workplace relationships.
Please, I'm with you on that. High five, girl.
Why?
Yeah.
It just...
So we work at home, then we work in the office.
Pleasure.
Peace.
Okay, okay. But why don't you just separate, your, relationships, your domestic issues and your professional kind of
It is
lifestyle?
always easier said than done. And this boils back down to you as an individual. Like, what are your hard limits, your boundaries, your do's and don'ts? And personally,
yes,
work relationships,
it's a no-no. It's a no-no. So already there's an age you're saying that it is wrong. I mean, you cannot stop two people to fall in love, and should that happen, they don't know how that will pan out.
But then again,
yes.
Just looking at why this was put in place was not just, they did not just wake up and decide, by the way, we do not want any more romantic relationships within the force, within the service rather.
Yeah.
This was based on issues to do around sexual violence, gender-based violence that they have been reported over the years. And in most cases, it has been people who are romantically involved, but one is senior to the other.
Okay.
That was one of the reasons that was put forth.
Yeah, exactly.
And legally speaking, it holds water why they decided to go this way. From where I stand, I think legally speaking, they are covering all their, putting their defenses up.
Yes.
To just make sure that we said this, and that is how it's going to be moving forward, because as a result of this and this and this, we need to do this for the greater good.
All right. Okay. Can we take a break right now? We'll be right back with more after this break.
Absolutely.
All right.
Je, umeomoka? Kama hujaomoka kwenye QuickBin ndio mambo yote. Hapa tuko na fridge, kodi yake ni CM. Tuko na gas cooker, kodi yake ni CK. Tuko na TV, kodi yake ni TV. Tuko na simu aina ya Samsung ni SM, ama Oppo ni Oppo. My friend, mahali popote unanitizama, eka hizo kodi zake kisha utume kwa 4032353. 4032353, alafu utakuwa unaomoka na hizi bidhaa. Kumbuka, kwenye QuickBin ni bidhaa bora zaidi kwa bei ya chini kwa chini.
Did you know that your house is one of your most valued investments? Get your domestic package insurance cover. This includes house and its contents, domestic servants, owners and tenants' legal liability. Now you know. IRA, promoting insurance, protecting the insured. Next on.
Did you go to this house? Are we clear?
Yeah, we're clear.
What exactly happened in Kilindini?
Did you have me followed?
But you of all people should know that I have eyes and ears everywhere.
What?
Hey, David.
She's here.
Yeah. I really don't want any kind of family drama right now, okay?
Then can I at least explain?
Sasa hiyo kishoko ndio baya sasa.
Dave doesn't want to talk to you, just admit it.
You admire my life.
I'm not my father.
Ouch.
Sorry.
I'm piercing.
Nani? FM ilayska umada.
Welcome back to the program. This is still Good Morning Kenya, and we are continuing to unpack for you how the different dailies are looking like this Thursday. And on the PD, the main story right here this morning is just on matters to do with health, and this is in regards to COVID-19, where the world could have averted COVID report. This is actually a statement from the Liberian president, that is Ellen Johnson, just continuing to say that we have identified failures at every stage, and we do believe that it could have been possible to prevent this pandemic. So in which ways do they feel like perhaps it could have been possible to prevent this pandemic, and most especially in the African context? And even as we talk about that right now as a country, 15 more persons test positive for the Indian variant, bringing the number to a total of 20 persons after 5 had tested positive for the same variant in Kisumu. And this is after it was reported by the CAS, that is Rashid Aman. But also part of what the Ministry of Health is saying is that there's nothing per se to worry about, in as much as right now the number is at 20 for those that have tested positive for the Indian variant. And even let's talk about matters health when it comes to BBI. Now the vote on BBI exposes Ruto's soft underbelly, where after claims that majority MPs pay allegiance to the DP, the outcome in Parliament, where his allies seemed to abandon him, has rekindled impeachment questions. Yes, even as we talked about the three of the 4 senators who perhaps are set to undergo the same fate as what has happened to the Jubilee-nominated senator, that is Isaac Mwaura, who actually as of now looks like his fate is sealed. This is after Leshore has been proposed to replace him on that particular position, and this is even
even after the High Court had barred the IEBC from continuing this particular process. But even at that, looks like actually his fate has been sealed on that post. And now we have been seeing the different works that the Nairobi Metropolitan Services has been doing as it pertains to road reconstructions, ensuring that garbage is collected in different areas, especially here across the city. But in addition to that, they're also doing something new, and this is in regards to the new blood storage center, which is set to be unveiled. This is at Mama Lucy Hospital. What they're saying is that plans are still underway, and this is at least to assist a good number of Kenyans there. So as they continue to give more details as it pertains to that, we'll be giving you more details again as it pertains to the same. And now as they continue to just experience the rains, it looks like now it is really causing a lot of havoc in different parts across the country, and most especially areas around Migori and Homa Bay, where thousands of bridges have collapsed, which even has resulted to a lot of students and a lot of people in that area. And again, just coming back to students having not to go to school, resulting to businesses and structures being destroyed in different parts of the country, but key areas, especially in areas around Migori and Homa Bay. So what exactly is the government perhaps doing, or even specific the county governments? That's all of that we'll be just finding out in a few, what different county governments are doing, at least to ensure that they help protect their persons in different areas, regardless of the fact that the rains are causing havoc in different areas across the country. Wambui.
Now we get to those details that we had promised you earlier on in regards to what the front pages have for us this morning. And let me see, which one do we start with? Let's start with this one concerning the education sector, over the question of 194,000 learners who did not sit for their KCSE exams. And this is the difference that was noted looking at the number of candidates that sat for the KCPE exams in 2016 versus those who sat for the KCSE exams in 2020. And mind you, this class of 2020 were the pioneer group for the 100% transition from primary to secondary school. Now, this situation, however, has not been addressed by the CS. So far, he hasn't explained as to the whereabouts of this 194,000 candidates. But just getting to the details is that NEC is actually the one who put out these figures. There were reported 752,602 candidates who registered for KCSE exams 2020. Out of that, compared to what was registered back in 2016, those that did the KCPE. This is the same group, mind you. The ones that did KCPE in 2016 were 942,021 candidates, but those who sat for KCSE was 752,602. Additionally, there's another 5,441 among this lot that did register for KCSE but did not do the exams. And this particular lot has been put into a different category because some of the reasons that have been considered as to why this particular 5,000 did not sit for the exams revolving around the consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic. But just getting to more explanation that has been given in regards to, and this is what NEC had to say. The CS is yet to give his stand on this. According to NEC, some of the possible explanation about these 194,000 candidates that did not sit for their exams, they have looked at issues to do with early pregnancies, early marriages, drug and substance abuse, lack of school fees, and juvenile delinquency. Now, according to this report that they also put out, they did see that there are certain counties that did report higher rates of dropouts, and these are counties more so in the eastern regions of Kenya and the coastal regions as well. And just examples that have been given here, there is Kwale, there's Kilifi, there's Tana River and Marsabit that have the highest number of dropouts. In Kwale, those that sat for their KCPE exams were 15,177 in 2016. However, those who did KCSE exams were only 8,109. That is the difference of 7,000 that did not sit for their KCSE exams, and yet they did do the KCPE exams. Going to Kilifi, those that sat for their KCPE exams in 2016, 30,225. Those that did their KCSE are 15,832. A difference of 14,393 did not sit for the exams and cannot be accounted for. In Tana River, 4,111 sat for their KCPE exams, but only 1,752 sat for their KCSE. That is about 57% that missed the KCSE exams. And in Marsabit, there is 3,980 candidates who did the KCPE, but only 2,033 sat for their KCSE. And looking at these particular regions in the coastal and northeastern parts of Kenya, early pregnancies and early marriages have contributed to the biggest reasons as to why these particular groups of children did not manage to sit for their exams. But they also indicate that there are some counties that did record a higher number of candidates that sat for the KCSE as opposed to those who did their KCPE in those particular counties, and these are Murang'a and Tharaka Nithi. So you can read more of that there, get to understand the question that is now being raised around the whereabouts of these young children. And mind you, this goes contrary to the 100% policy transition that was put in place with this first particular group, who were the pioneer of the 100% transition from primary to secondary education. Hooray.
Well, now, talking about education, I wanted to go to a story that made the headlines, especially started off on social media with a video actually going viral. What am I talking about? I'm talking about it is back to school this week and probably next week. But now there's someone who decided to take advantage of a few students who are going to school, gave them a lift. One was dropped off and he proceeded with another. And this lady, a 17-year-old schoolgirl, dramatically escaped from a man whom she claimed had raped her. I'm sure you have seen that video. It made its way on social media as well as mainstream media. We also covered it, so you can get the details on our website. That is www.kbc.co.ke. Now, she narrated the ordeal to people who came to rescue her. What happened? So just like a scene of the movies where you see the actress or the actor going for the wheel to try and divert or rather take control of the vehicle. So this particular vehicle where she was riding with a man, 34-year-old man from Kabuko, who dropped off one of the girls at around St. Paul's University but proceeded with the other towards Limuru. The suspect, according to the police, changed course and drove towards an area with a large tea plantation where he said to have raped the minor. Now, the victim told the police that the man threatened to kill her if she resisted. So this lady, instead of just keeping quiet and keeping mum while the drive was still ongoing, she tried to commandeer the vehicle, or rather take charge of the vehicle by going for the steering. The car lost control and landed into a tea plantation. And there were workers there, and she raised the alarm. And when she told the people who were around there what had exactly happened, the mob descended on this particular man, and he was only saved by the police there. Now, the man has been taken to court, where Chief Magistrate Evelyn Olwade ordered that he be taken to hospital and later be remanded at the Tigoni police station. If you have seen the clip, there were blows there, kicks to the head, and such mob justice there, with many Kenyans coming out to really react to this particular story, especially in social media platforms. Someone saying that he shouldn't have been left, to leave because, the issue of justice taking too long for this girl. This borrows the question, and I want to bring this question to the studio here as well as our viewer back at home. What do we tell our children when it comes to being independent? I know while I was growing up, among the things that my folks, especially my mom, insisted on was never get into a car with a stranger. Never go for a date without money enough to get you back home. Never order for a meal you cannot afford to buy. What are we teaching our children when it comes to just taking care of themselves out there? And mark you, I'm not saying the lady is responsible for what happened to her. I'm just saying life skills. What are we teaching our children about life skills? Actually, I find this 17-year-old to be very brave to have actually raised the alarm before it was too late. Imagine if this person continued driving with her. He might have actually, killed her as he had threatened to. Doreen, what's your take in regard to what we are sharing as far as life skills are concerned, where our children are concerned?
Yeah, it's just the same issues that you're raising, because also for me, while I was growing up, those are the same values that were instilled in me. Never go to a date. Never go to a date unless you can pay for what you will order for there. Never go anywhere unless you actually have something that you can pay by yourself. You can do it by yourself. It doesn't negate the fact that someone can be able to do it for you, but just make sure that you can be able to do it by yourself. And again, that issue of even taking leaves, I mean, even up till now, it still happens. Even to some older, if I can mention like older women per se, someone just passes you across and they really want to give you a lift. So again, it just goes back to those values and life skills that were instilled for you, that were instilled in you rather when you were growing up. And I think that is where the basic starts from, because also for this girl to perhaps raise an alarm as early as that, I want to imagine and assume that maybe she just felt like, wait, maybe from perhaps what I've been taught, what I've been told, I should actually do something. Because I want to imagine if she had not been instilled inside some of these values, she would have just gone like, okay, let's just go. But again, it reminds you, when you get to that difficult point and that difficult time, what exactly you need to do as a person. So it just goes back to what exactly children are being taught, whether it's by parents, by those in society and community, or even by teachers. And also, again, what you're being taught, are you taking it in? Because it's one thing to be taught, it's a different story altogether to actually take it in and apply it in scenarios and cases where it needs to be applicable.
Victor, what lessons or other values were instilled? And as boy child, we've been talking so much about empowering the girl child, but now what values were shared unto you by your parents that have helped you navigate some of these issues, especially this time when we're talking about teenagers and back to school and such?
Let's start talking about what the lady did. The lady was acting on self-defense. Nobody would want to face any rape, whether man or woman, girl or boy. Nobody would want to go through that ordeal. So by all means, the lady acted to save her life and to act in a manner, to act on a self-defense, okay? So whatever happened, that was that. She raised alarm and the people came for her help, and to her help. Now the problem is the people who started having a mob justice on him, all right? Whichever way you look at it, people might say that, it was okay, or it was not okay until police arrived. But to see at such kind of point, there are always two situations. One, whenever there's a mob justice, police will always tell you, stop killing, stop beating up that person, because if that person dies, it will be another story. And if that person is taken to a police cell and he dies there, it will be under the police custody. So police officers will have a question to answer. So two things, mob justice will never end. But in other terms, we always advocate, and people are always being told that never have, some kind of, cases in your own hand. But let me go back to your question. The issue of taking care of yourself can be talked as much as possible. And as far as we know, you've put it correctly. I don't know why it's about ladies that never go to a date or for a date without any money that can take you back home. That applies to us as well, okay? Just try and cut your coat according to your size. You get it? And make sure that even you, as a man, you know that lady before you go for a date, because some great and bad things also happen to men. I don't know whether you know that.
Yeah, there's an assumption that you guys are made of steel.
No.
Nothing happens to you that you do not allow.
No. You've had situations where unasikia umeweka mchele. You get it? Those are situations of, first time meetings, and you just get confused along the way, and shenanigans, and things happen. So it's about both ways. Take care of yourself and just be cautious. Something called situational awareness. Yeah. Situational awareness is very important. Read, have even 15 cents, if you can, around you before you make any decision. Yeah.
Just to add to what, Victor, you're saying about, men also not always being the perps, that is something we also need to normalize. Just to add on to what you have said, and not defending this perpetrator in this particular case. But one thing that I have grown up knowing is whenever you are somewhere that you are not with someone that you know and trust, always know where the exit is.
Yeah.
Always know where the exit is.
And know when to leave. Okay?
Know where the exit is. No kaki smoking.
Yeah.
Kakinuka. Wewe na exit.
I have an obsession. Whenever I get into a restaurant or a joint, I always have to sit where I can see the exit. I need to see who is coming in, and I need to see my way out. I don't know if just that's being overly cautious, suspicious, anxious. It's just that I have to have my back to the wall, so no one is going to come at me from behind.
Life skills.
I can see who is coming and leaving, and I can leave with minimal obstructions to the exit.
Movie tumewatch tukigrow up zimetufundisha kuishi.
Yeah, and someone would say it's paranoia, but it's just being careful. You are watching
suspicious minds. Yes, suspicious minds. Now, the issue of BBI, and there's a question I'd want to pose to our viewers this morning. Now, according to Linear Core Jairus of Kakamega, he says that the ball now is on our court. Let's read the BBI bill. So it has passed by the National Assembly and even the Senate. And he goes on to say that in the next line, now it is us, Kenyan voters. The citizens will have a vote in this as an amendment by a popular initiative. Perhaps I should ask my fellow Kenyans, and I'm paraphrasing what he's saying, have you read the BBI document? Have you? If you haven't, please ensure you go through it so that we can all make informed decisions. We should vote wisely, for our lives depend on it. Those are words shared on one of the dailies by the contributor here, Liankor Jairus of Kakamega, challenging you and I, if you've not gotten familiar with this particular document, you need to get familiar, because our lives and those are our children and their children too depend on how this report, or rather this decision, flows.
I actually think that is a good move by a Kenyan to say that, because you'd hear a lot of Kenyans saying, just to say what Gudamba would say, Baba ametusomea. Or person X and X ametusomea. So what else do we need to read? And again, that goes back to that aspect of information, because when you are informed, then you can be able to make better decisions. Just do away with that thought of Isha Peter from this stage to this stage. This person has already read it for us. I mean, if it has passed all these stages, then why do I need as a Kenyan to read? Then again, some years down the line, you begin asking questions of why do we need to perhaps pay for such? Why do we need to do A, B, C, and D? And you didn't understand why what you are passing. So again, it's very important to actually read, have some information a bit about what you will be voting for.
All right. Okay. All right. Briefly on the Star, let me just give you what's happening. Multi-billion shillings election kits tender dilemma for IBC. It seems that IBC is between a rock and a hard place. The electoral agency is now stuck between a rock and a hard place now, as it seeks to have a new supplier for technology to manage the expected BBI referendum and 2022 general election. Now get this, the Commission intends to buy 10,000 voter identification tablets to upgrade an aging database. We all know what happened. All right, the deadline for the tenders is June 4th, according to the recent notice. Now, according to Afula Chebukati, IBC-led team wants a supplier to test, commission, support, and maintain the Kenya Integrated Electoral Management System software. Now, the server hosting the biometric voter registration system acquired in 2012 cannot accommodate more voters and needs an upgrade. The Commission said that the server has been breaking down because an old software Now, the current voter register contains approximately 19.7 million voters, and the automatic fingerprint identification fingerprint software system may not cope with additional voter registration until the capacity is expanded. So the notice is out there. If you are able, Jain, Doreen, or Ray, if you are able to supply, we have it. We all know what happened to the Otimofo in 2017, the server thing. And I think the IBC is just being cautious on this one. They don't want to go that direction. Okay, something that is affecting most Kenyans, all right? Owners of old, quote unquote, owners of old vehicles targeted in NTSA inspection. Now, the NTSA said that they have started inspecting vehicles that are more than 4 years old in a move to that spells trouble for motorists. Now, the years are calculated from the date of manufacture. So if your car is a 1995, 96, 2000, you fall under that category, or even 2011, 2012, thereabout. This means that the National Transport and Safety Authority will inspect almost all vehicles on the roads in Kenya, with a total of more than 3.2 million vehicles on Kenyan roads. So be ready. Don't be the kind of person who the last minute dash to have your vehicle inspected. And something that's also affecting us briefly, the Meteorological Department says that the risk of flooding, mudslides and landslides remain high in the Rift Valley and some parts of central Kenya, according to the Met Department. And a few places, mainly in western Kenya and the Rift Valley, will continue to receive the rains, even as the rains are expected to reduce over the weekend. The rest of the country will remain mostly cloudy with occasional light showers. Today, I've just become a weatherman. Was that good, Jain? I did it, yes. One gentleman called Ngwata Francis. Hello, sir. Should just give me,
some internship.
True that.
But now we have the Irene Muchuma who does the weather report, as well as Marie Yambu and Yusuf Farah and Tilio here doing it. And just this reminds me that our brothers and sisters, the Muslim brothers and sisters, we wish you a happy Eid Mubarak.
Yeah.
You have fasted. You have seen this through. I want to say, as you celebrate this occasion, well, we are with you, and thank you very much on a lighter note for giving us a holiday. There are some who have sighted the moon from yesterday, I think. So
last night, yeah.
Asanteni sana, mzidi kubarikiwa. We are in this together.
Yeah.
As we say, man did not make themselves. There is a higher being. Man did not create himself. There is always a higher being. So whether you're Muslim, Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, pagan, at least you need to acknowledge that man is did not just come to be. That's what I want to believe. So our Muslim brothers and sisters, happy Eid, and thank you very much for our holiday. We will be celebrating with you, though we did not fast. But we'll be there. We'll be there. And on a lighter note, we will be back to just look at the stories that have been trending over the last 1 week, including
Arsenal winning. I was waiting for that. Yes, including.
Oh, my
Jain.
eye is twitching there, but
That was not supposed to be included.
Including. I was waiting
Arsenal
for your tongue to drop.
Victor, you term Arsenal's win as a trending topic?
Yes, 1-0, kaput.
We will be back with more of this. Stay with us. The Morning Kenya does continue. I don't know how anyway.
Okay, what was included, Jain?
We will be getting to that in a bit, but first